Senator Van Hollen of Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and great to see you, Mr. Chairman. Great to see an SEC chairman from the great state of Maryland.
It's great to see my senator.
Yeah, right. Let me just pick up on the first point that Senator Kennedy raised in terms of implementation of the Holding Foreign Countries Accountable Act. I just want to thank you and your team for pursuing that. I also agree we should shorten the time period to 2 years, and I want to thank Senator Kennedy for his work on this. The idea, of course, was to make sure we protect American investors, especially smaller investors, by ensuring that all companies listed on our exchanges comply with our accounting rules. And I know you had very tough negotiations with China. Thank you for keeping us informed. The ultimate proof is in the pudding, right? Their execution of it. But I do want to salute you and your team for all your efforts to date on that. I also want to thank you for moving ahead on a rulemaking to crack down on abuses of 10b5-1 trading plans by insiders. At the beginning of this Congress, Senator Fisher and I introduced legislation directing the SEC to undertake such a rulemaking. You did it, and we are monitoring that carefully. I don't know if you saw the Wall Street Journal article back in June, which I think, along with other studies, revealed clear abuses by insiders in these areas. And of course, when insiders benefit, it means the investors lose often, because sometimes these are gamed to take the gains before the overall value of a company decreases, stock value. So I want to thank you for that, and we're monitoring that. I also want to thank you and your team for recognizing the real issue of fraudulent scams, security scams, often directed against seniors. These amount to up to $3 billion every year. And we have a bipartisan bill here that I know the chairman and the ranking member are probably tired of hearing of, but I appreciate their I think, support for the bill, which is to empower states to better crack down on this fraud by creating a grant, federal grant through the SEC to help them out. And we've heard testimony on behalf of state insurance commissioners and state securities commissioners strongly indicating their support. So you recognize this is a big problem that we should deal with, do you not?
Oh, I do. I think that fraud in, as you said, in the elder community, or sometimes it's affinity-based fraud, we see all too much of it at the SEC in our weekly enforcement meetings.
I'm sure you do, and that we want to pass this legislation just to better fortify states to crack down on this kind of fraud. We're working with you on the ticker legislation as well, Senator Scott from Florida and I. I want to ask you about something you and I have spoken about before, which is country-by-country reporting disclosures by big multinational corporations. We're seeing jurisdictions around the world, including the EU and now Australia, move toward increased disclosure requirements for large multinational corporations to disclose the countries in which they book profits and pay taxes as a way to mitigate tax risk to investors. We have a changing international tax environment, and clearly companies that have put a lot of eggs in putting their profits in sketchy tax havens, their investors are at risk. And that's why we believe, as part of providing investors with necessary information, we should provide country-by-country disclosures. I was pleased to see the SEC take steps to protect investors' interest in May by allowing them to put forward a proposal at Amazon's shareholder meeting that would ask the company to disclose its country-by-country reporting. So my question, Mr. Chairman, is in this rapidly changing international cooperation tax landscape, can you look at this question about whether new investor disclosures are needed in this area?
So Senator, I thank you, and we are looking at it, and as I discussed with you when we got together on the phone, the Financial Accounting Standards Board, and we sometimes, let them know, and I want to say publicly here, I support the Financial Accounting Standards Board's project around breaking out and disaggregating tax reporting for public companies. I believe that, I don't want to speak for them, but in the next handful of months, they're going to go forward, and it breaks out, I don't think every country, but I think the top, couple of handfuls of countries, and then they'll, sort of promulgate that, get public feedback, and back and forth. But I think that it would be a productive approach to have such disaggregation that FASB is considering right now and has an active project on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may have some questions to submit for the record, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.